Hey, the Rulers DMO73 here, and thanks to our friend Ryan Lilly, we have a very cool take on Garmheld utilizing Crossing Point. Let's go ahead and jump right in.
Ruler School is brought to you by Odyssey Games, where you can go to pre-order upcoming Force of Will sets, ccgprime.com for singles and supplies, cardodoco.com for those rulers in the international market looking for product, and to our guest lecturer members, Vite Ramen. Class is in session.
So here is the list. As always, you can find it in the link in the description over on Force of Wind to go check it out. Copy it over to your lists and make some tweaks. It is a ton of fun. We did make some modifications from Ryan's list when he initially sent us, but we do want to thank him, Ryan Lilly, for sending us the initial list. It is an absolute blast to play this, and it makes use of Moonless Night Crossing Point, primarily because this deck is a deck that makes a bunch of tokens, and the 50 card limit is not that big of a deal because we're milling a bunch, so we get to it pretty easily. And so you just get to do some pretty silly things with this card, keeping in mind that you do get to use the God's Art. And now here's what I want to talk about. You will notice that this list is only playing 2 Neo Ragnarok and a Nature's Beauty over things like Eternal Demise. So from what our understanding is of the CR, that there will be a clarification in the upcoming CR, this ability here will kind of be updated, that it will read that essentially putting a copy of something on the chase is still being deemed as playing that card. This is already a ruling that has existed, but it's primarily there because of Celesta, so the example in the CR isn't super great. So as it stands right now, because of that rule and the clarification, you can't actually play Pathetic Demise unless you're Sebin, and so in this case in time, you can't actually put a copy of it on the chase because putting a copy is still being deemed as playing it. So that's why we went instead with another instant win con, which is Neo-Rag. Just generate a bunch of giants, and then you can just kill your opponent that way, and it's even sillier. So that is the list. Garmheld is making use of his Evil Dead ability and his mill to get you things like Niflheim to be active, and being able to reanimate really cool cards like Zombie Revengers at instant speed, which is nice, as well as things like Doubt, Sigurd, all kinds of stuff, thanks to his ability to be activated during either player's turn, which is kind of nuts. And sometimes you even flip. I actually do flip in this deck. Sometimes it just didn't pop up in the other matches. We have to play 20 different chants, so you will see we have 1 Sword of Progression, Soul Hunt, Fairer Spell, Arm of the Demon, which is nice because you're burning a lot of life in this deck. Dante Enters the Game of Gods, Phantasmal Scarlet, Final Battle, Foment of the World Tree, Heavenly Gust, Athena's Love, Whispers from the Abyss, Council Grove, King's Hopeless Scream, the Night of the Legendary Vampire. Commandments isn't super great, even though it's a 1-drop, primarily because you get to have them essentially search for whatever card they want. So it's really only something that you want to use if you also have some discard options. Something like it's the only card left in their hand and you're immediately going to Soul Hunt, something like that. High Speed Uppercut treatment, 3 copies of Institute because we're playing a bunch of tokens. 2 Cemetery of the Black Forest, a Niflheim, Arrival of the Conqueror because we get solo mode, March of the Dead, Interdimensional Graveyard, Invitation to Purgatory. I like this card again because you can use this to send Doubt to your graveyard and then have the will to be able to immediately use it, because you can do its Evil Dead ability, and Doubt is insane. Doubt is an absolutely insane card. This is a good way to get around having to play Mikake Rhea. We have enough mill anyway that we'll usually see the doubts anyway, but sometimes it's nice to just find it. And then as my kind of win con spells here, we have the 2 Neo Ragnarok and a Nature's Beauty. If my board is super huge and you have anything that can block, I can just say, well, I'm going to determine your blocks for the turn, and I'm just going to determine that you're not going to block. Then you die. So you return to nature, essentially. So that is the list. Having to play 50 cards, not a big deal. Stone base is kind of what it is. You could argue that you should probably be playing more stones that produce moon just to lean into Crossing Point a little bit more, but it's not super necessary because, again, the deck generates a good amount of value all by itself. The Crossing Point piece is kind of just icing on the cake to close out games if you need to. The deck can go a little bit silly, as you saw in that Game 3 opener with Zombie Revengers, being able to reanimate this guy off of something like Cemetery of the Black Forest, or Cemetery of the Black Rose, or even just paying 6 life to play him for 1 at instant speed is kind of gross. And then obviously you get to do silly things with ramp, with Sentinels of the Dark Forest and stuff like that. So that is it for the list. Let me know what you guys think of Garmheld and all of the ABC rulers in the comment sections down below. And until next time, this is DMO73 saying class dismissed.